Irish teachers have been encouraged to learn about cross-dressing for erotic enjoyment as well as drag and gender fluid identities by the Department of Education when preparing for RSE and SPHE lessons for primary school students. This is Ben Scallan and you're watching Gript Media. Before we start the video, if you want to support Gript and our work, make sure to click like, subscribe and comment even if you have nothing to say. Just comment if you prefer tea or coffee or something. Because by liking, commenting and sharing the video, the channel gets boosted in the algorithm and is seen by more people. So if you want to see this channel grow, just take 2 seconds right now to like, comment and do your part to support independent journalism. And with that said, on to the video. How much do you know about what your children are learning at school? Did you know, for example, that Ireland's official national curriculum body is encouraging teachers to study, quote, cross-dressing for erotic enjoyment, drag, genderqueer and gender fluid identities, all as part of an SPHE toolkit for primary schools. Teachers are also discouraged from using the phrase boys and girls and were told instead to seek a more gender-neutral alternative. This revelation came from the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, or NCCA, which is a sub-branch of the Department of Education. On curriculumonline.ie, which is an NCCA website, they have what they call a toolkit, and they say that this toolkit is supposed to help teachers who are preparing for sex education classes. At the bottom of the page, however, there's a list of links, and these 2 links that are highlighted on screen in particular are where things start to get very interesting, to put it mildly. One document entitled Using Inclusive and Respectful Language tells teachers to urge students to use each other's preferred gender pronouns. It goes on to say that these children are so young that they're still playing with toys and reading picture books. The document reads, "You may also need to be aware of your own use of language. Instead of calling the children to attention with boys and girls, get their attention in different ways. Make sure toys and activities in your class are open to everyone. Picture books are a useful resource to support children expanding their understanding and perceptions of gender. Be aware that for some children, their gender identity is evolving. This means that they may be transitioning from one gender to another, while for some other children, their gender can be a fluid." So again, these children being discussed are so young that they're still reading picture books. They're not 16 or 17, we're probably talking about junior infants here. And they should apparently be allowed to change their gender pronouns and are being taught that they can change their gender and be gender fluid. This is the official Irish Department of Education policy. Another document entitled An Inclusive Approach to SPHE specifies at the very start that it's aimed at primary classrooms. And at the back, it has a further reading page with a list of quote-unquote helpful resources. So let's take a look at some of those resources, shall we? What are teachers being advised to read about when preparing SPHE classes? Well, one is on helpful terms and phrases from the Transgender Equality Network of Ireland, or TENI, and this links to a glossary of LGBT phrases which teachers should study for classes, including, but not limited to, cross-dresser, demigender, gender fluid, bigender, multigender, gender neutral or agender, gender queer, gender variant, and many, many more. This is just a selection, mind you, there were a good few others. The further reading page also includes a link to a resource by LGBT Ireland, which features a section on cross-dressing for erotic enjoyment and drag. Transvestites dress for numerous reasons. Some feel the strong need to express femininity, while others might cross-dress for artistic expression or erotic enjoyment. However, most people who cross-dress generally have no intention of changing their bodies through hormones or surgeries. These experiences can also be part of the trans umbrella. This might also include drag kings or queens who may use exaggerated gender performances as a means of exploring their gender identity. Notably, this link uses the word transvestite, although the previous TENI link describes this as an offensive and outdated term, so I'll leave that in your court to decide what you want to make of that. By the way, if you're shocked that you're hearing any of this for the first time, realize that all of this material has been publicly available on the NCCA website for who knows how long, but we at Gript are the only ones who actually did the work of investigating this. So if you want to support our vital work, please consider signing up for a €5 or €10 donation a month to help us continue doing what we do. But regardless, the LGBT Ireland link also describes non-binary gender, saying some people identify as having a non-binary gender identity. These people do not identify as either a man or a woman. It also encourages the use of Z-zir pronouns instead of he, him, or she, her, as in Z went to the pharmacy to pick up zir prescription. And bear in mind, this page was included as a recommended resource for Irish primary school teachers by the Department of Education. Teachers are to study this before giving sex education classes to children who are young enough to read picture books. In fact, the LGBT Ireland page linked by the teachers' resources features another link to a more extensive list of different gender terms. This link includes, among other things, ladyboy identity, doll or masker identity, which it describes as people who dress up as plastic dolls, usually including a rubber mask, a nibbling, a gender-neutral way of saying a sibling, a strap-on. If you don't know what that is, I won't be explaining it, but if you want to know, the definition is on the screen. Just be aware it's kind of gross. Two-spirit, and many, many more. One of the LGBT Ireland documents linked by NCCA describes a gender fluid identity, saying gender fluid is a non-binary gender identity. Gender fluid individuals experience different gender identities at different times. A gender fluid person's gender identity can be multiple genders at once, then switch to none at all, or move between a single gender identity. Some gender fluid people regularly move between only a few specific genders. It also adds that children studied were strongly gender non-conforming from the time they could communicate. So in other words, they were transgender from the time they were babies or toddlers. The original NCCA teachers' documents urge educators to avoid, quote, heteronormative or cis-normative phrases, as in don't make it seem like being straight or not transgender is the norm. It adds, beware of using language that does not provide for the fluidity of gender or sexuality in some people, binary-based language. Furthermore, it says that all lessons should help to normalize LGBTI+ identities throughout the curriculum. LGBTI+ identities should not be confined to a single lesson or group of lessons, but rather all lessons should aim to normalize LGBTI+ identities throughout the curriculum. And at the end of the day, perhaps the most alarming part of this is the fact that I don't know how long it's been up for. This isn't new, and I only stumbled across it by chance because I specifically went looking through the website in a journalistic capacity. It doesn't have a date on it, so who knows how long this has been the advice to teachers. Now, is this being taught to children? Well, that remains to be seen. I'm obviously not in every single classroom in Ireland, so I don't know what kids are learning. But this is the reading material being offered to teachers by the state, and the revelation came just a week after Justice Minister Helen McEntee announced a new national strategy against, quote, gender-based violence, including teaching LGBTQI+ issues and sexual consent to primary school students. And so someone needs to ask questions about all this, and that someone is us. So this will hopefully be the first installment of a series into the Irish education system, where we're going to be examining what exactly is going on in Irish schools. And to do that, we need your help. And so please like and share this video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider signing up for a monthly donation via the link on screen to help us produce more content like this. Alternative media like Gript needs all the assistance it can get, and every donation goes a long way. As always, thanks for watching.